Hey y'all, it's Missniecytv and I'm here to do a review for Sistas Season 9, Episode 15. The episode picks up where it left off with Andy's mom coming into the conference room and seeing her kiss Dr. Vaughn. And she's like, Andrea Monique Barnes, what are you doing? This is not how a woman should act in the workplace. And Andy's like, Mom, what are you doing here? Dr. Vaughn introduces himself to Andy's mom, and she's basically like, I didn't think you'd be Andy's type because she normally goes after like hedge fund workers and politicians. Dr. Vaughn's like, you could call me Reggie or Reginald. Ms. Barnes is like, I'm not going to do that because that would diminish your title and you worked so hard for it. And I'm so glad that she respected his title and appreciated his hard work. Then Dr. Vaughn excuses himself because he sees the tension between Ms. Barnes and Andy, so he's like, I'm going to go. Andy's like, I'm going to see you later. So once Dr. Vaughn leaves, Andy and her mom sit down and they have a conversation, and Andy's like, what are you really doing here? Ms. Barnes is like, I'm here to check on you. But in the things that I've heard, it seems like you really do need me to check on you. Andy's like, so what do you know? Ms. Barnes starts reading down a list to Andy about everything that Andy's been through, and Andy's like, how do you know all this? Ms. Barnes is like, because I have to hear it to the church. My own daughter won't even call me. Imagine if something would happen to you. I wouldn't be able to, bear with it. Andy's like, stop with all the theatrics, Mom. We only talk once or twice every 3 months. Be for real. Ms. Barnes is like, it doesn't make it no better that I had to hear from the church and not from you. One thing I can say is that them church ladies be messy. They be having sister circles of their own, and they want to tell everybody's business, and that's okay until it's one of their family members. But the real reason that Andy's mom is there is to see her sister Irma, and she wants Andy to drive her to her sister's house. Andy's like, I'm not going to do that because I have work to do. Ms. Barnes is like, what's that assistant's name that you have? Andy's like, she's not my assistant, she's my paralegal, but her name is Fatima. Ms. Barnes is like, well, you're the partner, they should be treating you as such. Andy's like, okay, whatever. But then she's like, I'm not going to drive you, but I could get the car service to drive. Over at Karen's, we see Karen and Aaron having this cute moment, and they're talking about the move and the places that they're thinking about moving and the pros and cons of doing that. And Aaron's like, so did you tell Pam yet? Did you tell your mom? And I'm like, Aaron, y'all just had the conversation a few days ago. Y'all didn't even come up with a thorough plan about the move and what y'all gonna do and where you're gonna live and what's the best area or anything like that. Y'all just want to pick up and move on the whim. Pam calls to check on Karen to see how her and the baby's doing and tell her that the salon is doing well. And Karen's like, I need to talk to you. It's very important. And Pam is like, what is it about? Karen's like, just know that I have to talk to you real soon. So she gets off the phone. And Aaron's like, why did you tell her? Karen's like, I just want to tell her in person. And then that's when they get a knock on the door, and it's like, Karen's like, that must be my mama. Karen and her mom sit down and they have a conversation, and Karen's telling her mom that her and Aaron have made the decision to move, and they feel like it's best for them, and they need to change the scenery after everything that happened in Atlanta, and how the salon and the sisters and Zach are bringing her nothing but sorrow, and she doesn't need that. She needs a new start. Miss Lisa's like, that's why people go on vacations. They don't just pick up and move, and I feel like you're trying to run from your problems. Karen's like, no, I'm not, and I really need this for me. And I think it'd be best because Karen is very adamant about moving, and Miss Lisa could see that, and she sees that there's no way of changing her mind. So Miss Lisa gets on board, and she's like, I'll help you in any way that I can. Over in the law firm parking lot, we see Danny talking to the police officer, and he's like, I wanted to ask you something the night that your friend was missing, but it would have been inappropriate. Danny's like, what? The officer's like, well, I want your number. Danny's like, I can't do that because I have a man. Goes on to say, well, he hasn't put a ring on your finger yet. And Danny's like, well, maybe I don't want a ring on your finger. Everybody doesn't want to get married and be tied down, right? I thought Danny was going to stick to her guns and stay adamant about not getting this man's number, but she folded and she let the man get her number. And I only think that she's doing that is because she's tired of Tony and she doesn't know how to tell Tony that she don't want to be with him no more. So she's trying to find an escape. I feel like Danny's going to wind up getting hurt in the end because she wants to sit there and play around with people's feelings. Over at the bank, we see Marie trying to have a conversation with Paige, and Paige is being all stuck up and snooty, and Paige's problem is she's mad that Dylan is paying more attention to Maurice than he is to her, and she's basically being the jealous sister. Paige, this is nobody's fault but your own. You decided to hook them up, and they actually like each other. You should be happy instead of being jealous. Over in Sabrina's office, we see her and Maurice talking, and they're talking about Dylan, and Sabrina's like, you're in love with him, and Maurice is like, I didn't say that, but I'm very fond of him, and everything we've talked about with the vision board, and I thought that was very sweet, and I just want to get to know him better. And then they start talking about Rock, and Sabrina's like she doesn't know what she wants to do because she's stuck between of wanting to be a mother and wanting to have her whole face. And Maurice's like, well, you should continue to see Rock, but just don't catch feelings for him. You need to learn how to detach yourself from the physical and the emotional. They're talking, Sabrina gets a text from Rock, and it's a picture, and Maurice is like, let me see, are you sending him pictures back? And Sabrina's like, no. Maurice is like, why not? You should send him pictures back. And Sabrina's like, no. Sabrina, I agree. You don't have to send him pictures back just because he's sending them to you. And Maurice is like, no face, no case. Just send him one without your face and you'll be alright. Some time passes and Sabrina gets a text from Karen about her wanting to set up a sister circle because she has something to tell them. And Maurice is like, I didn't get my invite. We're at the law firm. We see Aiden talking to Fatima, and he's basically yelling at her like, why did you drop Chad as a client? Why didn't you come to me first? I'm the lawyer on this case. You can't be dropping people without telling me first. Fatima's like, well, I'm the one that brought him on as a client, so I don't have to tell you anything. Aiden's like, what I think happened was Zach got mad and he couldn't handle it, so that's why you dropped Chaz as a client. And Fatima's like, it didn't have nothing to do with it, but I have a backup plan. We could start working on the women's side because the men have too many scandals and we can help the women out. Fatima, I'm like, why couldn't you do both? Hayden could take the men's side and you could take the women's. Hayden's like, you know what, you can actually be onto something. I'm like, I actually like the dynamic that Fatima and Hayden have right now. They actually could be a very good team when they're not bickering at it. Whereas Zach and Fatima comes home for break and her and Zach sit down and they have a conversation. Zach is all happy because of the $100K that he got in his account. He shows it to Fatima. Fatima's like, where'd this money come from? Zach is like, I don't know, but I'm very happy. I honestly think that was Gary trying to give Zach his money back that he gave Gary to invest, and Gary didn't want to give it back at first, but now that Gary has changed his life, apparently, he wants to be nice to make amends with people. Zach then tells Fatima about the whole conversation that he had with Mr. Keys and how Mr. Keys knows his father, and Fatima's very leery about the conversation because she's like, Zach, you trust people too early, and I don't want you to get your hopes up, and what if it doesn't turn out to be what you think it's supposed to be? And Zach is like, I understand that, and I understand that you're trying to be protective, but let's just have dinner with him and see how it goes. Over at the law firm, we see Miss Barnes approaching Fatima as Fatima's coming back in from break, and she's like, Fatima, I've heard so many good things about you. I've seen you in pictures with Andy. Miss Barnes gets in Fatima's face, and she's like, let me tell you something. If you don't get yourself together, my daughter's going to fire you. And Fatima's like, did Andy say that? Barnes is like, it doesn't matter. Now, Miss Barnes, you know you sat up there and lied, because Andy didn't say no mess like that. As Fatima's walking away from talking to Miss Barnes is like, one more thing. Fatima's like, yeah. Miss Barnes is like, what's the relationship between Dr. Vaughn and Andy? Fatima doesn't really say anything, so she just keeps walking. Over at Danny's, we see her coming home from work, and she's having a conversation with Tony, and she's telling Tony that there were budget cuts at the airport, so people's hours got cut, and Tony's like, oh, I'm sorry. Then Tony starts going into the conversation about his birthday and how his kids are supposed to be coming into town and he wants the kids to stay there. And Danny's like, we don't even have the space to do that. Y'all gonna stay at a hotel. And Danny brings up the lubricant that she found on the table, and Tony is like, well, I wouldn't have to use it if you were able to perform in the bedroom and I wouldn't have got a friction burn. Tony really needs to sit back and ask himself this question. Are you a man worthy of performing for right now? No. You don't go outside and work. You don't clean up the house. You don't make sure she's okay. She has to make sure everything is done and you're not doing anything to help. So you're not worthy of performing for her. He's so over the conversation that she tries to leave out the house, but before she leaves, she throws down the envelope. And Tony's like, what is that? Danny's like, it's a lump sum of money that I just don't want to carry around. Danny, how dumb could you be? Danny, I know you're smarter than this. You never leave money around, just laying loosely in your house, so that somebody can grab it and steal it. Now, Tony might not be the one to steal it, but your cousin may well be, because he definitely went to jail for armed robbery, didn't he? And he's always at your house now that Tony's there. We're in the conference room, we see Fatima getting a call from Zach, and she's letting Zach know about everything that happened with Miss Barnes, and now she said that she was going to get fired. Fatima's like, after everything that I've done for her, she wants to act this way. She's like, honestly, Andy's been acting weird since that night. And Zach has the nerve to open his mouth and say, well, it might be because I saw Andy naked. And Fatima's like, what are you talking about? Zach is like, don't get mad at me, but I saw Angie naked the night of the blackout. I went in her room to get my charger, and she was getting dressed. Fatima's not mad about it. She's just mad that Zach and Andy decided to keep it from her. Like, why are you trying to hide it? Zach is like, I wasn't trying to hide it. I just wanted to find the right time to tell you. Zach, you should have honestly told her when it happened or didn't tell her at all. So, of course, Fatima decided that she's going to go confront Andy about what her mom said and the whole thing about Zach. So, over at this team plan, the girls finally meet up for the meeting, and Andy's like, why is everybody else here but not the sister that called the meeting? Andy and Danny go back and forth for a minute, and then that's when Karen walks in with this new hair and this new outfit, and I can honestly say that she looks very happy and that she's glowing. Karen sits down, and the girls are like, so what did you call this meeting for? And Karen's like, I got something to tell y'all. And as soon as she was about to tell them, Fatima walks in. And Karen's like, hey Fatima, I didn't know you were going to be here. But you can sit down since you're here and I can tell all of you together. Fatima's like, no, I'm actually here to talk to Andy. Andy's like, can it wait? We're actually in the middle of something. Fatima's like, no, it cannot. I'll be at the bar. I officially think the friendship between Andy and Fatima has severed, especially after this conversation that they're going to have. Let me know what you guys think about the episode. Please be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Turn on bell notifications. Bye.